And actually, all carpet starts out as loop pile. It's just whether the loops are snipped or not is the big difference here. If we look at some of these, again, within the loop, we've got level loop, multi-level loop. What in the world is that? Here's level loop. Means the loops are the same size. Multi-level loop means what? Means the loops are different size. Within the cut pile category, we have velvet, Saxony, and Frieze. The one that you'll see usually is a Saxony. What is velvet? Velvet is not twisted. It's real plush. It's the kind where when you walk on it, you see every footstep. That's what that is. It's for show. The Frieze, what this is cut pile. Have you ever noticed when you take a rope or something like that and you start twisting it, you keep twisting, what will happen to it? It'll curl around on itself, won't it? Frieze is called trackless. It's cut pile and yet you don't see the footsteps. And sometimes it's called California Berber. Because if, at first glance it looks like Berber. It's curled around on itself so much. In fact, our bookkeeper just put in new carpet, I think it was a year ago. She was showing me some of the samples. One of them was Frieze. And I said, I looked at it and I said, man, that's the ugliest carpet I ever did see. She said, well, that's the one I'm going to put in. I said, I don't care. That's ugly. Well, you know, it's different tastes. Then we can have some variations of it. Tip-sheared, where some of it's loop, some of it's cut, and so forth. And then we have this wonderful stuff. You like this stuff?
Smart.
Basically what? Yes. Shag. Shag carpet. Those are your basic types. There's one other kind I want to talk about, but it fits into two other. But it's loop pile, but we typically call this what? Berber. What's the difference between this and this? They're both loop pile.
Higher pile.
Yeah, this is called Berber. Berber has very large loops, and that's not because it's got a lot of thread on it, because it's full of air.
Yeah.
It's full of air. Huh?
Not twisted as tight.
Right. So it's got lots of air versus this. I've got two pieces of Berber up here. This is a multi-level loop Berber. So rather than using color to give it a design, we just simply got the design by the different levels. If you walk into a family room, thank you. First of all, take a big, deep breath. You're going to be there a little longer than you were planning on, because you're going to have to take extra dry strokes. As Dan mentioned, Berber takes a lot longer to dry, typically twice as long. Why? Usually it's made out of olefin. Where did much of the solution go? To the backing. That also means you're going to have more reappearing spots, wicking problems, etc. The other thing is, because they're big loops, there's big valleys, which means you lose a bunch of your vacuum.
Water doesn't absorb into the olefin. How would it be?
Does not absorb into it, but the water's got to go someplace. It's got to evaporate, and so it'll still climb the olefin fibers. We'll get into that when we get into wicking. One couple of things I want to show you. But so if they have ceiling fans like we've got in here, if they're not on, ask permission to turn them on. If you've got a blower in your van, bring it in, because you want to speed up the drain. Problems like wicking, reappearing spots, etc. don't happen on dry carpet. They happen on wet carpet. The faster you get this dried, the better off you're going to be. The other thing I want to point about these two pieces of Berber is, this is one solid color. Very most likely, this is 100% olefin. If you see solid color, almost certainly it's 100% olefin. If you see multiple colors, almost certainly it's mostly olefin with some nylon. Why did they do that? This is a 90% olefin, 10% nylon. Why did they do that? Because with the olefin, you're limited on the colors you can use, because it's solution dye. So to add more color, they use some nylon. You just lost one of the big advantages of olefin, which is you can't use bleach on this. So that kind of gives you a clue. The other thing is when I pass these out to you, feel this one, and then feel this one, and it's startling what a difference just the 10% nylon makes on its hand. The other thing on that multi-level loop, take your hand like this, pretend this is the slot of your tool. And what do you notice when you pass your hand over that multi-level loop? Yeah, you've got these big valleys where you're just sucking air out of the atmosphere. And that's another reason why frequently the Berber is harder to dry. What does that tell you about? Let's say you had that multi-level loop Berber there. It tells you, number one, you're going to have to take multiple dry strokes, but you should also overlap. 50% overlap with your strokes. Is this going to take longer to clean? Yeah, it's going to take twice as long to clean. That's the reality.
Is it more important to vacuum that first?
Oh yeah.
Than regular vacuum?
Yeah, very definitely. Very definitely.
All the stuff in the crows.
Because then you're going to get it less wet.
So overlap solution strokes?
Solution and dry strokes. Because one of the biggest problems you're going to run into with Berber is streaking. So you want to avoid that. So you want to get some overlap. You should normally overlap anyhow, but with Berber, it's critical that you overlap and get extra dry strokes. The last one here belongs just as much under rugs as carpet, but sometimes we have. What is the difference between a carpet and a rug? There is a difference. Now, so every now and then I'll get somebody, they're talking about this rug, and it's got this problem. I've got rug in my brain, and all of a sudden it suddenly dawns on me. They're not talking about a rug, they're talking about a carpet. What's the difference? Right. Rug, the carpet's attached. I could take this and turn it into a rug, couldn't I? Serge the edges, and voila, I've got a rug. But that's essentially the difference. The other style is called Sisal. Anybody ever run into Sisal or hear of it? What Sisal is, first of all, usually Sisal is sold on the idea that it's organic and natural. It could be made out of nylon, but typically it is organic and natural. This is the day and age of organic and natural. But anyhow, we start, Sisal is usually organic. Usually, some people call these jute rugs. They may be made out of jute. Looks like rope. Hint, if you don't like it, you could always roll it up and smoke it. Could be made out of cotton. Could be made out of coconuts, except you would not call it a coconut fiber. We would call it coir, which is French for coconut, but since it's a French word, we can charge twice as much for it. Kind of like faux silk. Have you ever heard the term faux silk? You know what, F-A-U-X, you know what that is? What that French word means? Fake. Nobody. If you said fake silk, who'd buy it? Faux silk. Well, that must be good stuff. It's just rayon.
Faux fur.
Faux fur. Yeah, that type of thing. PETA probably would still attack you for it, wearing it. So, and this is woven stuff. So we start out with the rope or whatever. This could even be made out of seagrass, mountain grass, anything. So we start out with this. There you go. Before I give you this, I want you to notice something. See something there? Water stain. You know what that's from? That's not even from water. What this was, when I used to travel with Kevin around the country, I would take all of these with me, and I made the mistake of putting all of this stuff in a box and set it on the hot water tank, clean water tank. But I set the box on where the vent hole is. So just the vapor coming from that little tiny hole into the box was enough to do this. When I pulled everything out, everything else was just fine. But this stained severely. What's this tell you about Sisal for water spots?
Absorbent.
Yeah. Spots severely. Well, that's a real problem. Plus, since it's woven, it falls apart. So how do we take care of that? Well, first, the manufacturer will saturate it in Scotchgard or Teflon. We don't mention that to the consumer because that's not organic. And by the way, there's a couple of words you should eliminate from your vocabulary since I'm talking about organic and natural. The first word you should never use is the word chemical. In a consumer's mind, what is a chemical today?
Poison.
It's a poison. The other word is acid. In a consumer's mind, acids are chemicals that kill you faster. Even though in this little bottle right here, if you read the ingredients, one of the ingredients I am confident is phosphoric acid. In fact, it is the number 1, 2, 3, 4, the number 5 ingredient. If you read the material safety data sheet on phosphoric acid, it'd kill you if you drank it straight. It's dilution too, but to the consumer again, the word acid, because every now and then I hear people use the term acid rinse. Don't use that term. Hey Joe, go get the acid. What just went through Mrs. Jones's mind? What are you putting into my carpet? But anyhow, we put a protector on it, and then to keep it from falling apart, we put latex on the back. When this gets to you, again, pretend this is your floor tool. You think this is going to clean very well? No, it's not going to clean very well at all. Then we can get real fancy, like this one with an attached cushion. Now when you get this stuff, this is going to be interesting. Look at this. This is a sample from the manufacturer. Looks like a basket.
Is it a cracker?
This one's made out, and now I've lost some of the labels on some of these, but this one is made from prairie mountain grass.
People want to put that on stairs too.
How about this one? Or worse yet, how about this one? Looks like something, like something you'd find made out of, to make a wastebasket with, not a rug or carpet. I'm going to give you this multi-level loop carpet in a section. There's two things about this piece right here. Number one, it's direct glue down. They do that because it's cheaper to install. Then when it comes time to replace it, it's more expensive. But there's no pad, so it's hard to walk on. But the big thing here is this multi-level loop. Take your little finger again, pretend this is your floor tool. Press down on it, pull it towards yourself. Push down hard, and what do you notice? What's your floor tool doing? Yes. What we call chattering. Every time the floor tool pops up a little bit, guess what happens? You lose your vacuum and a little bit of dirty water drops out. If you just clean this carpet like this, no overlap or anything, we're in a hurry, you'll get a phone call tomorrow. There's a streak here, a streak here, a streak here, a streak here. If you take your little finger and go do it at an angle, you'll notice something very interesting. The floor tool is no longer catching in the valleys, so it's not chattering. But you still have the valleys, which means what? You should be overlapping, particularly on your vacuum stroke.